Hello, good morning and welcome to Newsline, live from the Newsfirst studios in Colombo. And joining me this morning, as usual, is Bandula Jayasekara, senior journalist and former diplomat. Good morning.
Morning for us.
And how are you today?
Good, good. It's a new day and we have lots of news.
Indeed. Let's have a quick look at the newspapers here. The Island reports on the case of the rugger player Tajuddin, saying that the police have said that his death is not accidental. And the Ceylon today goes on a story, leads with a story saying that the Indian Coast Guard is on alert, and it's a story dealing with the smuggling of gold, and India is preparing to train 24 sailors with a fleet of 11 boats to monitor the seas to combat a growing problem of smuggling gold. And the Daily FT has an interesting story about a new audit bill which will be a reality under the new government, and so says President Maithripala Sirisena. And we shall go into that story a little bit in depth later on. And their second story is that MR, as in Mahinda Rajapaksa, questions Ranil Wickremesinghe's accomplishments during 100 days. And the Daily News has the story that Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe says the FCID investigations are continuing and that 20 high-profile cases are extensively being investigated. Bandula, on the day of all those news, we have the sad news that the former President of India, Mr. Abdul Kalam, has passed away and is no more with us.
Yeah, Faraz, and he's well known in the world as a simple, true people's president. I mean, I think he was accepted not only by India but the whole world embraced Dr. Kalam.
Yes, he was in Sri Lanka a few weeks ago and interviewed on this channel by Newsfirst, and I think we had Mr. Shavan Daniel, we were interviewing him. That was apparently a very simple man.
Simple man, and then for us, I have this story about President Kalam. Now, once he has gone to a university in Varanasi for a convocation, and then on stage for us, he saw 5 chairs, and one was a bigger chair, and he questioned as to who sits there. So then they said, "It's for you, Mr. President, this is for you." So he refused to sit on that chair, and he said, "Give it to the Vice Chancellor, that he should sit." So, I mean, Vice Chancellor of the University of Varanasi, he said, "No, sir, I can't." So then President Kalam said, "Look, get me another chair, just like that." That's how simple he was in comparison for us to our politicians.
They want what? Special chairs?
Special chairs. I'm sure we have seen it for years.
Oh,
so this is the humbleness of President Abdul Kalam, and he sat like anybody else, and he said, "I throw away that chair," and he sat like, and he thought the right way to respect the Vice Chancellor. He was important. He offered that chair to him.
Right. We also had a former president of Iran who slept on the floor instead of his presidential bed, I think.
Yeah, lots of people. I mean, our politicians can learn a lot from these.
But maybe
people.
He had a bad back, the Iranian president. Joining us this morning is Mr. Asoka Abe-Gunawardena, a political analyst. Good morning, Mr. Asoka.
Good morning.
And how are you today?
Fine, thanks.
Mr. Asoka Abe-Gunawardena is perhaps best known as the architect of the 20th Amendment, and he's also a political analyst. And this morning we hope to have him engaged, Bandula.
Yeah, I think it's an important day for him.
Indeed. We understand that the manifesto is being launched today.
Yes.
And is it being done with the presence of the President, or?
Well, actually, to best of my knowledge, while compiling this manifesto, the UPFA had interactions with the President, and he wanted to ensure that certain things are included. So today we have to see whether it's included or not. Firstly, I think they are going to launch this as Anagatayata Sahatikaya. That's the term they have used. I'm not sure how they have translated into English right now. But now the official launch will be held. It's mentioned in the news that without the president. However, as the president of the UPFA and the SLFP, it's likely that today, before that launch, the first copy will be given to the president by the UPFA leaders, and hopefully we have to see what will happen next, because it's likely that today will be a turning point as far as the general election is concerned, because there are a few turns. Originally inclusion of Mahinda Rajapaksa in the nomination list, and then President's speech saying that he has refused to accommodate him, but because of the decision of the SLFP and the UPFA, he allowed that as a democratic process. And today we have to see what is included in the manifesto and whether that will comfort the president for him to say something new to the society.
Asoka, does that mean that they are coming together?
Well, we have to wait and see. To best of my knowledge, I think the key concerns of the president is already included in the manifesto. We have to see, and let's see how he will respond to that. Because I feel that the other three main manifestos, UNP, the JVP and TNA, they have not adequately addressed the promises the president made for the 100 days, which was not implemented. So in that context, whether during the presidential election UPFA was against him. However, later on we saw that for the 20th amendment, while JVP and UNP are not contributing to achieve that, still UPFA had a turn there and they supported especially the 20th amendment, and they were requested to have this Information Act and other stuff to be done before the election. So we have to wait and see whether there's something new, as they call it, start anew. Let's see, because until now all the political platforms, nothing new was mentioned by the UPFA candidates.
Mr. Asoka, can you confirm or clarify that when President Sirisena said what he said about the former president,
yes,
in terms of his nomination, he was obviously expressing his personal preference, is that right?
No, it's not actually his personal preference. He was suggesting this as a follow-up of what he proposed during the last 2 months of the last year, to make sure that there should be a change. That should happen. I mean, during that period, no one discussed about offering Prime Ministerial portfolio to the former president, because that was not the agenda. But he was defending his promises. That's why he said that, well, there are other senior members in the UPFA who can
also qualify.
Yeah, qualify for this Prime Minister show.
Right.
So I think the missing point was that the president did not say that UPFA will be defeated, but he said that it's not possible for him to offer the Prime Ministership to the former president. I mean, that there was a confusion whether he was saying that he is going to defeat UPFA. It's not so. It's only an individual case, not the political party.
So how real is the possibility that Mahinda Rajapaksa will end up as the Prime Minister?
Well, that debate is happening right now. I think if the UPFA gets a clear majority in the, let's say 113,
yes,
then it's likely that no one can refuse Mahinda Rajapaksa being the Prime Minister if the UPFA selected MPs say so.
In the parliamentary group.
In the parliamentary group.
Right.
But if not, then it's open. If not, if they cannot take the 113 seats in the parliament, or still if they are the number one,
yeah,
then it's likely that someone else in the UPFA group may likely to be selected as the Prime Minister, because he need to get the blessings or the support of the other parties as well.
I see.
So it's a still open game, I believe.
You seem to be very positive about this and, bringing them together, Asoka.
Well, that should happen. Not now. We are discussing about the national government. Before that, the internal groups should get together first. Then only we can discuss about the having a national government. I think it's very important for the two major parties to have a strong understanding among themselves. Otherwise, it will be a negative. It will have a negative impact on the Sri Lankan society. Mainly because now I think the TNA and the JVP manifestos, I think they are far below the expectations. They have not adequately understood their capability and their role. Still, now JVP says they are going to be in the opposition, which they shouldn't. Because if they get the critical number of seats in the parliament, they should play a proactive role to have a stable government in the country,
and what is
unlikely as in the last 100 days.
And what do you think is the role of the TNA should be?
Yes, actually, the TNA's role now, I think, after the war, now we should have a new beginning. For that purpose, the political leaders, the Tamil political leaders, should be in the forefront to achieve their to accommodate their aspirations, but in the right direction. What they are trying to do now is to, I mean, they should play an active role in the next government. That's my feeling. Otherwise, they won't be able to accommodate the concerns of the Tamil community in the mainstream process.
Right.
I mean, the manifesto, it's likely that they are going the same direction, which leads later on to another struggle.
Asoka, now they said you all are going to present the UPFA manifesto, and newspapers report saying that the former president, Mrs. Kumaratunga, she is going to make a special statement. What do you think she would do?
Yes, where is she?
Well, it's difficult to understand how...
and why is she being left out of all this?
Well, actually, now
the active role.
Now, I think from all these, from out of these three, Mahinda Rajapaksa, the former president, Chandrika Bandaranaike, former president, and the present president Maithripala Sirisena, I think out of these three, Maithripala Sirisena has understood the current situation properly when compared with the other two, because the other two are trying to attract the people to other directions, which is not the requirement right now.
Are you saying that they are being a bit mischievous, the other two?
Well, to a certain extent, I think they have not properly read the current situation, and they are not reading it properly, and they are not reading Maithripala Sirisena properly. That's the major mistake, and they should understand that. I mean, Mahinda Rajapaksa should understand it's Maithripala Sirisena who is the president right now. He should accept that. He is the leader of their party. He should accept that first. He's not doing that. And on the other hand, Chandrika Bandaranaike should understand that Mahinda Rajapaksa has a role to play, because he was leading until the presidential election. So, unless, I mean, at that point, Maithripala Sirisena was in the opposition when compared with the UPFA. So, I think both need to understand the reality.
But Asoka, there's an interesting development for us. Again, the newspapers are reporting that Mahinda Rajapaksa is saying there is no Maitri pillar or Mahinda pillar. Yeah. How do you see this, Asoka? Are you all trying to say something in this?
Well, I think he's tackling this issue to a right direction, but he has to accommodate his extremes as well. Extremism. But at that point, I have to say that now he did not respond to the Maithripala Sirisena statement. That's a great development, and still there are certain things that leads to confusion. Maithripala Sirisena is keen to have the national government, and Mahinda Rajapaksa is rejecting that. So there are certain things that are not in a line, but I believe in the coming days they may resolve their certain issues and come to a consensus.
Mrs. Kumaratunga, is she sort of retired now? Is she accepting?
For us, I think politicians also should retire. You know, we all have our times, like in the private sector. Then we have time. We have to learn to let go. Why? You know, because it's all because of power. They want to hold on to power, and like we have discussed, I think let the present president run this country. He is the president of Sri Lanka, so everybody has to retire and let go.
Do you think perhaps he should be a little bit more forceful, our president?
Yeah, or I think you should bring some, I'm sure Ashoka can explain to us, some constitutional amendments that, once you're retired, you can't come back. Like, after 55, can people, they can be like consultants, or like, they are like patrons, right, of the SLFP. That's their role.
But I sort of view it as being rather meddlesome.
Yes, definitely.
They tend to meddle in matters that...
Yeah, so the problem for us is these politicians can't let go. You must learn to let go. While they preach to us to let go, they must first let go. So I'm sure you have things to
I think
say on that.
They should play the role of the advisory role. Otherwise, I mean, directly involving both Mahinda Rajapaksa and Chandrika Bandaranaike, both, they need to understand.
President Jayawardena never got involved.
Exactly.
He was the best example.
Learn from him. And they had the full they had the privilege of having the full 2 terms. They have done their job. They have the experience. They can advise, and it should. I mean, president should be allowed to function as he wish. And to answer your question, whether he is adequately forceful or a term, yes, I don't think so, because he is trying to introduce a new political culture to allow them to learn what should be the democracy. That's a new process, because previous presidents they tried to do their own, and they did not allow for the democratic process to happen. Here there are 2 main things I think I have seen from the Maithripala Sirisena, the president's point of view. He had 2 issues. One is he is not a leader or active leader of one of the 2 major political parties. That did not happen earlier. So he had to play a sort of a moderate role. But and secondly, most importantly, he is trying to introduce a new culture where he is saying that, well, I am not in agreement with this particular factor, but it's a democratic process. We collectively take decision. That's why he had to accommodate contesting
Mr. Soko, what you're saying sort of reminds me. I have a dog. He's 5 years old. I don't think I'm able to get him to learn to shake my hand now. He's 5 years old. He's an old dog. Can you teach old dogs new tricks?
I'm thinking about the next generation.
Maithripala Sirisena trying to be gentle and firm. Is he trying to be that?
But I think that's a better wording, because he's firm. He's firm. He clearly, that's what his speech. I mean, he left SLFP at the right time. If he is not firm, he cannot do that. Then after the elections, he accepted the leadership of the UPFA. If he is not firm, he cannot accept that. Now he allowed Mahinda Rajapaksa to contest. That too is a firm decision. And then the speech.
Well, I think this is why we need to bear in mind that we need to elect good, committed people in Parliament who are committed to you, the voter, and to our country in general. Don't you agree, Bandula?
Yeah,
very important.
I think it's very much. I think this is what MTV says. So we are also having this campaign, because people have to be educated and they must get the best leaders and people who want to serve the country. I mean, not to serve themselves. I think that culture has to change.
Yes, and so if we have a vibrant new Parliament, they don't need to be
but there are several old faces. Yes. I would say lots of old faces are contesting. So can you have a vibrant new Parliament for us with these old faces?
No, that's why we need a new Parliament. Tell the old fellows to go home.
So that's what I think.
That should have happened.
People have to decide, but the parties, when they gave nomination, they didn't do that.
But I want to go back to you, Ashoka, about the 20th Amendment.
Yes.
Why wasn't it passed?
Well, actually, now before the January 8th, it was the proposal of the Maithripala Sirisena and also UNP and JVP. But later on, we realized that UNP and JVP was not keen to implement that. That's the core issue. So it's a failure altogether. Now, from the voters' point of view, first thing that should have happened is to reform the electoral system, because we are going for an election. So first thing that should have happened before the election is to reform the election process system. That did not happen. That's a great failure. Then
why?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's part. I think Maithripala Sirisena, the president, tried his best to do it, but as UNP and JVP was not contributing positively, and even the minority parties, they did not come up with positive responses to what was proposed. They have a negative reaction. And also the Mahinda fraction in the UPFA during that time, they were pushing for a election and to dissolve the parliament. So when we discussed with President Sirisena, he said, well, all parties want to go for an election, and the media, they were pushing to go for a new election, and even the speaker said so. So why should I try further?
But Ashoka, sorry to interject here, but sometimes I get the feeling that the 20th Amendment was sacrificed in order to save the Prime Minister some embarrassment and perhaps his political future, and that's why the Parliament was dissolved. The President says so. He says that he had to save the Prime Minister. Well,
I am not in agreement with that point, because still I agree that there was a general feeling that, well, we cannot have the 20th Amendment because the minor political parties are not agreeing, so it will take time, and that will lead to about few months, until which we cannot tolerate. That's the point. But practically, I think Athuraliya Ratanathera and other leaders who were in that lobby said that, well, we will change that attitude and make it happen. But before that, I don't think the key issue is these two against this Prime Minister and the Financial Minister. That should have happened, but there was a week or more for that. So I think President made a mistake there. Yeah. He should have stayed one more week and see the developments and take a decision. At that point, there was a possibility that we could go ahead with the 20th Amendment. If such things happen, then the UPFA moved towards this Prime Minister and Finance Minister issue. It will not happen if there is a consent from that side.
But Ashok, at that time, where people like Champika Ranawaka were very vociferous and they were criticizing Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe about the 20th Amendment, and now they are contesting together. How do you see this?
They seem to have chosen one as a lesser evil, and this is the greater evil.
This is the 21st.
Yeah, that's politics. Now, at the end of the day, they had three options. One is to agree with Maithripala to allow Mahinda to contest. The second option to contest separately. The third one was to go with Ranil compared with Mahinda. But they made a mistake there. Yeah. I think either they should have contest separately or allow Mahinda to contest till he is not going to be the Prime Minister. If they were with Maithripala Sirisena, then there was a major possibility that Mahinda Rajapaksa will not be the Prime Minister. So going with UMP, I don't think it's the right decision.
But much of our discussion seems to almost presume that the next Prime Minister will be Mahinda Rajapaksa. But we've forgotten in all this the aspirations of the man who's been 3 times Prime Minister of Sri Lanka and is aspiring to get his 4th term and a full term at that, Mr. Wickremesinghe. What do you think, Bandula?
Yeah, let's wait till I'm sure he's hopeful. I mean, people can live in hope. Everybody, all the politicians. I mean, not only Mr. Wickremesinghe. I mean, there are so many people. Yesterday, I think you questioned Mr. Sushil Premchand. Yes. Yesterday, whether he aspires to be the Prime Minister.
And we have this strange, another report that the former First Lady Hema Premadasa is speaking on behalf and supporting Mr. Ranawaka, Champika Ranawaka. Is it strange? Is that the way politics is?
No, I would put it this way. Champika is contesting from the UNP. I think Mrs. Premadasa is supporting the UNP. Exactly. I would not know how Ashoka sees it. She's supporting the UNP.
That's right. That's a good.
She's supporting the elephant.
Good point, indeed. Yes. What do you think? This Tajuddin's murder thing? Is this a developing story?
Yeah, it is. Here? It seems to be a developing story. All the newspapers have carried it.
And what about the story on the FCID? Now that is that's important news, isn't it? Because they've made all these promises and we don't see anybody in court.
Yeah, so that's what now. I mean, there are a few more days. I really would not know, but the Prime Minister has said it. He said it's continuing. I wouldn't know. Maybe Ashoka might be able to elaborate whether it's rhetoric or election things we have to satisfy.
The Prime Minister is saying that 20 high-profile cases are continuing to be investigated.
I think people, if there's corruption, I would say from 1948 we have had corruption. If all these have to be investigated and get this country to be a clean place.
Let me ask you, Mr. Ashoka, why should the Prime Minister be saying things about the FCID?
Well, actually,
we have an IGP, we have an independent police commission.
Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean,
we have the president.
We have the president.
Yeah,
he can say that.
Yeah, firstly, we have to accept that. Well, that was in the before the January 8th. They were pushing for this. So, to that extent, they have the right to say so. But the process, I think it's true that it's time-consuming. But the delays that has happened, I think we cannot accept that. So, while unnecessarily delaying those things and proposing it later on at this stage, I think it's not fair, because from their part they have failed to achieve certain things. I mean, if they were committed, they should have done something better, and either they are ineffective as far as administration is concerned, or they were not committed for that. They were waiting till the announcement of the elections for them to proceed further.
So even one paper carries this for us.
Sorry.
Only one paper carries it, not the other papers.
That's true, and then that's the Daily News. We must say, Mr. Ashoka, we've enjoyed having you on the show this morning. Thank you very much. And Vandula, thank you.
Thank you, Faraz.
I shall leave you with this quote for the day. The great thing in this world is not so much where we stand, as in what direction we are moving. We must sail sometimes with the wind and sometimes against it, but we must sail. We must not drift nor lie at anchor. With thanks to Mr. Oliver Wendell, I shall say good morning and God bless.